to make everybody believe in Protoss again.
I believe in Trap.
All right, I'm with you there. Trap is a great player.
Okay, here we are. The map is Kairos Junction. Now, it may seem like we just cast this guy's match a minute ago, but he's back. He's in the round of 4 now. It's FanTaSy.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, the red Protoss player is Trap. All right, well, nobody interested in making things interesting. No cannon rushes, no barracks being thrown down in weird places. Everybody just kind of doing things at home. The first couple minutes of this game thus far, the probe scout. I'm telling you guys, worker scout. I understand sometimes the probes don't do it, or the pros don't do it. But seriously,
I think
just do it.
I think Trap did it pretty much every series he played.
Yeah, exactly. He looked great. See? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he just has his sort of formula down for how he approaches the matchup, or all matchups, really. And it's been doing him well so far. Hey, I'm Finn. Possibly does that mean, hey, I'm Finnish? Or is your name Finn? Regardless.
I think it's just Finn.
Just Finn?
Anyway,
regardless, this should be a good match here. This probe, by the way, just being a pain. Yeah.
As usual. I mean, that's what we saw from Trap. He's really good at delaying that base for as long as he can. Doesn't lose the probe. Forces 2 SCVs off the line. Really frustrating stuff for Terran, but eventually it does go down.
Yes, anyway, Finn, before I totally got distracted by that probe, was saying, crosses fingers for race car mech from FanTaSy. It's a best of 5. I think it's okay for a Terran to try mech once. At least once, right? Versus Trap, though, we saw... Wait, Trap played FanTaSy in the group stage, did he? And he just destroyed his mech, right? This is a rematch.
Yeah, that does seem familiar.
Yes, that definitely happened. Okay, just cluing in the fact that this is a rematch, guys. We've had a lot of players in a lot of matches. So, does FanTaSy learn from his previous series versus his opponent? Oh, dodging.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I mean, that's how you get to this level, is you learn from your losses and you learn from your mistakes. If you keep doing the same dumb stuff, you never get to this point where you're considered like a top 20 player, you know?
Probe came in for Trap. Did get a scout off, a very nice one at that. He saw a tech lab on the barracks, and then he saw the factory. Does he know that this is going to be that sort of Hellion Marauder opening from the Terran player? Here comes in that Adept. Oh, meanwhile, Reaper came on in. He just... 2 probes have gone down. 1 in the main, 1 at the natural.
Yeah, so no big deal.
Picked off a probe.
Doing some work. It's all good.
Died to the Adept in the process. Adept took a bit of a bruising for that. Looks like FanTaSy
totally
was
fine.
trying to catch that Adept with the Reaper, but it's just not happening. And looks like FanTaSy is going ahead with this build. He's going to be having Concussive Shell Marauders, going to be hitting Trap early. How does Trap deal with this? I feel like you need a shield battery. He's got the wall for starters, because if this was just like a regular Hellion run by or something, you're fine just having the wall. But there we go, a shield battery starts for Trap, and that's going to help counteract the Marauder muscle. So Trap, with his scout, well aware of what's coming his way. Can he stop it?
Dun dun dun.
Well, it's been scouted now. Stalker's stepping forward in that wall. The shield battery is not yet done, so the Marauder's going to start tagging up those Stalkers. Trap already realizing how dire this is, pulling probes, but does he have enough? He's already starting to lose some of those workers. The Marauder's going to town. The shield battery is done, however, though, and that's really going to help out Trap with defending this. It's quickly out of energy, though, and FanTaSy microing these units as well as he can. 2 Marauders are left. I'm not sure how long they're going to live. Oh, the blink!
Nice blink.
Oh, that poor Marauder.
Nobody's going home
just
today.
to get finished off there. 5 probes died. Putting them on equal worker count, I feel as if that's an acceptable amount of damage for Trap or for FanTaSy. However, the counterattack is looking really lethal right now. The bunker's going up. But 4 Blink Stalkers, man, versus 3 Marines.
That bunker, if it doesn't go down, FanTaSy is in a world of hurt.
SCVs are being pulled. Trap's just focusing down the Marines, and there's going to be nothing
Oh
to
my
put
gosh, the
inside that
Marines
bunker.
are all dead. A tank comes out at the wrong possible position.
Oh,
the blink.
The monster.
The SCV's going for the surround. Can't do it. Tank down. A Marauder down. Marine comes out, gets picked off. That Stalker has been doing work and managed to blink out too. That was nuts.
There is a warp prism for Trap, so he's probably going to warp in around the Stalkers and go for more, if I had to imagine. He knows how little FanTaSy has. Or does he stop there? More Stalkers waltz forward. There we go. Gonna be another round of warp-ins. This is looking incredibly terrifying for FanTaSy. He's gonna have another tank out in a second here. He's got more Marauders popping out in a medivac. That will greatly help. But his main base could be in a fair bit of trouble right now. He's got a tank, but he's got to run that tank away. The medivac's getting focus fired down already. SCVs are being pulled by FanTaSy, so a very quick, appropriate response to this, knowing how serious this attack is.
The SCVs are trying to make this thing happen. They keep getting picked off piece by piece here. Trap's getting a third base behind this. He doesn't have a ton of Stalkers, but they're just putting in so much work and staying alive longer than they have any right to. Still, more SCVs continuing to fall, trying to get that surround off. One Stalker can't get out of there. Does get picked off there, but this is so much lost mining time and so many dead SCVs. Workers are not being created for FanTaSy right now. He's going for Marines, Marauders, tanks, upgrades, anything to stay alive here versus the onslaught. It seems like there's a bit of a respite. Trap is not going to continue to come in here for at least the next 30 seconds or so, and it is Colossus on the other end here, perhaps waiting for that splash damage to come help out.
Yeah, Trap is very content. He got his nice little poke off that when the Terran was vulnerable. But as you said behind this, he got up his third base, and he's been producing Colossus for a while. He's already got one out. He has yet to start up another, but he's going to have +1 extended thermal lance in charge. And from what we've seen of Trap already in this tournament, once he is there, he is very, very comfortable. FanTaSy unsieging, maybe looking to push on out. Injured Marauder on the front, making me nervous.
Yeah, he's alright. He's here with his friends. He's got a tank to support him too. There's your War Prism, still just being really annoying here. FanTaSy pushing out a little bit.
Okay.
Got some high ground advantage. He's got some tanks. He decides it is time to go. I played the defender enough.
Oh, but look at Trap. Trap with his Warp Prisms. He's been so lethal this entire tournament. He's just destroyed Terran after Terran. Marauders stim, but they can't shoot up, so they're not going to help out at all versus these Zealots. And oh my gosh, a big Zealot Warping going down here.
Huge Zealot Warping there. SCVs trying to fight FanTaSy, sitting up at the third base of Trap, trying to fight on two fronts at the same time. In addition, the third base of FanTaSy getting shut down here too.
This Zealot, okay, good cancel by FanTaSy. Not losing all those minerals is at least a bit of a saving grace there.
The Zealots in the main are not getting cleaned up, dude.
Yeah, they're not. Trap, did he just kill another Terran with his Warp Prism?
I mean, they're eventually slowly getting cleaned up, I think, here.
But there's more. They can always warp in more.
Yeah, there's
That's
nothing
the
here that
danger
can
of a Warp
shoot up.
Prism.
And the Micro's pretty good out of FanTaSy, trying to keep his Marines alive so they can shoot the War Prism, but positioning here, pretty fantastic too.
Wait,
shots on the Nexus. The Colossus got rid of all of them.
Okay.
Yep.
That's it. Missed all the bio dying. I guess I just wandered forward. And
yeah, that Colossus has 7 kills. Trap.
Oh my gosh.
Trap. Making it happen, Trap.
Making it happen, indeed. Okay, we'll get on into the next map, which is going to be King's Cove.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Again, if this is your first time here, feel free to bookmark this page. We do Afreeca stuff, Afreeca StarCraft 2 stuff every other week. Days and times can kind of vary every once in a while, so follow us both on Twitter for information about that. But we have players of this caliber all of the time. Innovation, Solar, obviously FanTaSy and Trap hanging around here too. So check us out on Twitter and our YouTube pages. Please also hit up the Matcherino page, where you can throw $1 into the prize pool for absolutely $0 of your own. It's free money you can give to these players to thank them for playing StarCraft and giving you this entertainment today.
Okay, looks like everyone is ready, so we're going to get right on into the next game. And yeah, just a very strong showing from Trap. That warp is every game. Like, if I was to go through all of Trap's PvT replays, like, the moment you know the Terran's dead is when the Warp Prism moves on in.
Yep. It's just either he's defending and warping in or attacking and warping in, but he's always warping in at that stage of the game.
Okay, here we are. It's King's Cove, spawning down in the bottom right-hand side of the map, representing Team Jin Air Green Wings. It's Trap.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner, it's the red Terran player, FanTaSy. Once again, the probe scout moving on out, trying to see what is up.
This is a very early probe, dare I say. That was a probe, like, before Pylon, pretty much. Or
that's true.
As Pylon was going down. So that is a very early probe. I mean, it could be for another Pylon and another gateway. I mean, it goes for that one proxy gate opening, but it looks like it's just heading towards the main base of FanTaSy. Trap wanting a very early scout. Just a normal scout for him, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure he gets there in time to see exactly what FanTaSy is doing. I guess he wants to know about proxies even before FanTaSy knows about proxies.
I'm trying to think. Am I crazy? Was that earlier than his usual probe scouts, or is that normal
it was
for him? Okay, I'm not crazy then. But that is indeed a statement by Trap. Just been like, yeah, I'll just see what you're doing and then play from there. I'm that comfortable.
Same dance we've seen several times here on the channel recently. And yeah, nothing crazy here until that Cyber Core is done. Not really sure what we're going to see out of Trap, but I have to imagine it's going to be Warp Prism, and it's going to be Charge, and it's going to be Colossus. Those are the three elements he's rolling with. Also, whatever the heck that probe is trying to do, whether he's trying to stay alive so the Reaper doesn't kill him or what.
Yeah, he's just going to go back in. This is what he did in the previous game to spot that Marauder timing. And as a result, he won the game because he knew it was coming his way and then just was in a good spot from there. And Trap, he realizes the importance of scouting. Listen to Trap, guys. Watch how Trap plays. He just rolls up with his probe and says, oh, okay, cool, a reactor in a factory.
Reaper trying to dart back in after healing up from his combat drugs. See what he can see here. And honestly, not much. There's an Adept defending, so these probes do have a Protector and a Guardian. Oracle on the way now from Trap. And an Adept waiting for the Reaper to come up. Oop, on that high ground, getting 2 shots. And man, really doing a great job rebuffing the scouts here.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job. It's almost a little bit insulting by Trap to FanTaSy. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go see what you're doing, but you don't get to know what I'm up to. Now we do see the 2 Hellions for FanTaSy are going to run on in, but there's the 2 Adepts. There's the Oracle. We'll see if he can maybe get a shot or 2 off. Can he kill a single probe? Nope, FanTaSy just nopes on out of there with that Hellion. The Reaper is in the main base. Adept was in position. 2 probes have gone down this game. I believe one would have been that scout, maybe one to the Reaper. Follow-up for FanTaSy is going to be that Widowmine drop. You remember that mass Widowmine we saw? I think it was Innovation go for yesterday.
I believe it was. It was a lot of Widowmines.
It was a lot of Widowmines, and he got no... It was versus Trap, wasn't it?
It was versus Trap.
And he got no damage done. Trap just handled it perfectly.
There was one drop where I think 11 probes died, but other than that, it was nothing.
That was on, like, the 20th Widowmine getting thrown out.
Yeah, it was horrible, horrible value.
Okay, let's see. In come this Medivac. Is Trap ready? That Pylon was just warping in, so I believe it must have just missed that Medivac. Maybe it's not. It's tough to say, but here it goes.
Widowmine 1, Widowmine 2, Widowmine 3. Great pull, though. 3 probes go down. Oh, 4.
Okay, 3 oracles were made for Trap. He doesn't actually have a Phoenix yet, so this Medivac can actually get out. That is actually massive for FanTaSy, not losing that. Because you're usually pretty committed when you go for a Widowmine drop. You accept that you're going to possibly lose the Medivacs, but Trap making 3 oracles gave that a chance to get out. Look at that, these mines are burrowing. It's like they're going to kill off one of the Adepts. The mine gets lifted up as well. And FanTaSy, he's probably looking at this drop again, thinking of sending that in once more. The Oracle's kind of anticipating this, though. Oh, look at that.
Wow. Just scouting it out.
Okay.
Watch as it come in. Stalker ready to rock.
That doesn't necessarily mean they won't get anything done.
Well,
But, yeah, they're not getting anything done now. Those mines unload. Trap dares them to. If they do, they are done.
Wow, nothing. Nothing happening there at all. I mean, Trap, he is defending this like a pro. Like, that's all he does all day, is just defending against Widowmine drops, and maybe that's how he practices.
He plays on the ladder, so that's probably it.
Thank goodness a Zerg opponent, no Widowmine drops.
Oh.
Of course, there's other stuff to worry about, but still.
Baneling drops.
Not really in the meta, I guess, but
yeah,
still, yeah, pretty
they were
horrible.
for a time. There was a lot of that for a time.
Yeah. Alright, so at this point, Protoss is up about 10 workers. Army supply is a little bit low. Third base happily running with Oracles defending it. But here comes FanTaSy. More traditional army this time. No more Widowmine drops. He's got Marines. He's got Marauders. He is working on +1 weapons and combat shield. And he's going to try to see what he can do here versus the defenses that are being thrown up at the third base. Immortal in production. I really like Immortals. There are Marauders out. That bonus damage versus Armored is hugely important. And some sentries here for force fields can really change the tide as well. So I really feel like Trap is in a good position. Overall, economically, he's fantastic. His army supply is a little bit low, but he is catching up there, starting that Colossus that he seems to be a staple and a requirement for his PvT.
Yeah, and it is a ways off, though. Trap made 1 Immortal, but this is that time in which the Protoss is usually a little bit weak. Even Trap is a little bit weak at this point, so FanTaSy coming in with his 3 racks, actually to stim it on in. Is Trap prepared for this? This bio is putting out a lot of damage. Oracles are coming on in, they will greatly help out, but the Widowmines are there, allowing FanTaSy a bit of a position to poke and prod from. That might have bought enough time for Trap to hang on, though. Or Widowmines not connecting with the Oracles. Beautifully done by Trap, somehow dodging those Widowmines while attacking with his Oracles. Oh my god, he's playing with fire, but he's making it work.
He really is. I'm surprised he hasn't taken a single hit there. Now the Colossus shows up, and that changes the
Trap
game.
held this. That was looking so dire. There some of the mines go.
As FanTaSy is retreating, he gets a huge shot off.
Yeah.
That was unnecessary.
Popping off 2 of the Oracles there, but Trap still did exactly what he needed to do, which was hold that attack. Of course, FanTaSy, he's going to be going for another attack from the scheme of things. Can I point out as well, I love how many Marauders FanTaSy is making.
You may point it out, yes.
That was a lot of tech labs. That's going to be a good number of Marauders. It's like we're going to be seeing a mine drop heading towards the natural of Trap. He's got Phoenix in position. Meanwhile, another mine drop heading towards his third or main. We'll see if FanTaSy is able to get anything done. It's a narrow window, but this Medivac will be spotted. Here comes in these mines. There's already a cannon and a Colossus. I don't know if they're going to get a lot done, although as I say that, the mines are burrowing, probes are running, and 1 goes off, but great defense from Trap.
Yeah, I think it maybe got a Zealot and did hurt one of those Phoenix there, but otherwise,
yeah,
not worried about it.
FanTaSy was hoping for a lot more, that's for sure. In comes this drop, but there's a Colossus and the Stalker's in position. That being said, though, okay, some of these mines getting shots off.
There we go, 9 probe kills. That's the one. That's the one that FanTaSy gets.
That's the one that he wanted there. How many mines have died this game? 14. And how many probes? 18.
So 1 for 1, not a good ratio.
Yeah, not the best ratio. FanTaSy getting up his third base. He's going into Viking production, and I actually really like the choice for this. Just so many Vikings on the way out for the Terran. Picks off the Oracle as well with those Vikings. And then he's going into Ghost to counter a potential High Templar switch. That makes this Disruptor that Trap has made even more important. And the fact that he's making more He's really anticipating this counter from FanTaSy, as he's actually stopped at 2 Colossus. Zealot counterattack. No Prism this time, but still gonna grab himself a few SCVs.
Zealot's being really annoying over there. And Disruptor is starting to pop now for Trap.
Yeah, that's gonna be 2, and he's going up to 3, 4, just constantly making those.
Oh, perfect scan.
And once you get up to 3 or 4 of those Disruptors, that's where it becomes very problematic for the Terran, because there's just always going to be a Nova primed and ready to punish you.
Yeah, it turns into just continuous explosions coming at you time and time again. Really frustrating to deal with. Ghost Academy on the way, and a Fusion Core getting started now too from FanTaSy.
I think it's safe to say that's going to be for Liberators, not necessarily Battle Cruisers.
But they're so good against Disruptors.
One can dream, yes. Disruptors cannot kill Battle Cruisers.
Yeah, see?
Can confirm that. I love the Viking placement, just running around for FanTaSy. There's no Prism out for Trap just yet, but with how he's played his other games, it definitely doesn't hurt looking around for FanTaSy. And are these Vikings, are they just gonna like fly over to the 3rd or something? Or are they hunting for this Phoenix? Nope. Zealots queued up to the south. Charge isn't actually done yet. So Trap is lacking that for now. And army supply and just overall supply in general, it's not a bad spot for FanTaSy. He's getting into his 4th base. Nice EMPs going down for FanTaSy.
Ghosts on the high ground trying to get shots off. Nova whipping and not getting anything done there whatsoever. So yeah, great EMPs, but shields regen fairly quickly here. I think Trap will be up to full strength sooner rather than later, although he's going for it.
He's moving forward, yeah. FanTaSy needs to react to that. Stims all of his bio. That is going to take a fair while to heal up.
Yeah, where the heck are his medevacs? Oh, the Nova. Nice return there by FanTaSy, getting on out of there.
That's probably going to be the first Nova of many. And look at this. Trap Zealots into the natural.
Hey, what? Zealots? We never see those.
Liberation zones will help zone this Protoss army out. Stalkers do pick off a few of them.
Not too shabby, but again, this is where Trap, he just exceeds. It's where he lives, is this patient style versus Vikings and Liberators, poking, Zealots prodding.
Working on this
trying
wall.
To get through that wall.
Oh, Disruptor Nova going out. FanTaSy has to run the bow. Trying to deal with the Zealots, getting baited into Novas there, taking nasty shots, doing the best he can to split. Gonna be losing some SCVs though regardless. Sitting back in a position like this is not great for the Terran. If FanTaSy can, I think queuing up a drop would be really, really good for him right now. The left of the Protoss is actually somewhat exposed. But of course, Trap is keeping on the pressure with his main army, and then the Zealot counterattacks, by the way, just casually sending 9 Zealots towards FanTaSy's base.
Yeah, it's all good. No worries.
All the while tossing Novas at him. Ghost throw down EMP is going to try and help clean up these Zealots. The Zealots will at least pick off the Ghost, though, and the bit of bio that was sitting there. So just getting nice trades like that for Trap, I guess. He can afford to do things like that. And it's not making FanTaSy's situation any better. Zealot's getting in towards the 3rd base once again. Oh man, Trap is just so relentless.
Yeah, there hasn't been one attack that's done a ton of work to the economy, but overall he's killed 31 SCVs of FanTaSy's. I mean, 58 workers is not super great for FanTaSy. And again, the Colossus doing work. Nova, big time hit! Big time hit. Several Marauders going down there.
Those money disruptors showing their face once again. The Liberators are there to zone out the Disruptors, but when you're pinned back at your base, it's not a good thing as the Terran. I mean, the Disruptors or the Liberators help you stay safe, but it's still very brutal. Vikings now in pursuit of this Warp Prism. It is a very quick Warp Prism, by the way. I believe Trap has that upgrade. FanTaSy is going to be looking for a drop. Trap's retreating, though. He knows this attack is incoming, and this can be very painful for FanTaSy because this is a lot of his bio, and there is High Templar there. Are they going to Psystorm? They transform into an Archon. They don't have time to drop the Storm, and it's actually not done yet. But FanTaSy, this bio is trapped right now on those Medivacs. They are in a lot of trouble.
They do manage to escape there. Very close, but they do manage to get on out. Psystorm now wrapping up. Really important stuff here. All the splash damage you can get is going to be really important against FanTaSy right now. FanTaSy just making more and more Vikings to deal with the Tempests that are being double pumped right now from Trap. Working on those upgrades. That +3 armor that Trap is getting is really important stuff here. Really makes his army hard to kill, especially for a Terran player. The drop does manage to sneak back in, though. The drop of the south is really being annoying. Yeah, there was only one Phoenix. Couldn't kill the dropships or the medevacs in time.
Oh, this Nexus might get shut down. That would be a nice move for FanTaSy. He needs to get something going for him. Doesn't get the Liberator. Good reaction from Trap. Gonna find this Archon, pick off these Stalkers. Not enough to defend for now for the Protoss. Can FanTaSy get something done here? He really needs to find quite a lot. Trading out with these Stalkers, picking off a cannon or two. Gonna deny that base once again. He's buying himself a bit of time, but it's just been very uncomfortable for FanTaSy as he's just sitting back. As he's got Liberators, he's got Vikings up, but he hasn't been allowed to step onto Trap side of the map, and it's manageable to play versus the Disruptor, Tempest, Templar composition with the few Colossus in there, but when you're sitting back, the Protoss will just be abusing you, really. They're just going to be just moving when you're out of position and just attacking where you can't. And Trap is doing an excellent job of that so far. He's done a good job defending from most of this aggression. Bit of bio moving down to the right, but it was tagged by one of those oracles that Trap has. And these guys are in trouble. Trap even blinking the Stalkers that are injured away. Oh, man. He is so good.
Every unit. Every unit is important. That's a lot of... Is that too many mules? How many mineral patches are here?
That's one more mule.
Yeah.
There's the nitpick of the game for FanTaSy. He's playing his heart out. But he just dropped one mule too many. Ak177 in chat saying FanTaSy GG timing. I wouldn't say we're quite there yet, as he's desperately trying to hold on. I mean, he's not out of it. He's got an economy. Taking a fight and taking down this Protoss army is going to be an absolute nightmare to manage, but there's a chance that Trap could make a mistake. He's got a lot of Tempests. Those don't actually add a lot of muscle to the Protoss army. A lot of the value and effectiveness in Trap's army is through all these casters. EMP's going down as well, hitting those High Templar. So there's a chance that FanTaSy can take a good fight versus this. He's just got to really get Trap and overwhelm him.
Tempest just picking off whatever they can. Losing an Oracle there is not...
And there's
Vikings,
the nuke.
Though. And gonna get maybe 4 probes there.
Look at this. Vikings picking off a Tempest. FanTaSy getting some nice moves in.
Nice pull on the probes.
Bruises
Couple of them
a bit of that
do go down.
Defense.
Yep. Shield battery actually helping immensely there.
Yeah, they just healed the bejeebus out of those cannons like instantly.
Yeah.
That was really quick.
That was interesting. All right, so the Ghost ends up dead there. Army supply 127 to 113. Just again, this is the patience. This is what Trap rolls with here.
Yeah.
He's no interest in going in there and just losing everything.
Look at this though.
Hey, battle cruisers and nukes. FanTaSy knows what the people want.
He knows. He's like, I may as well give it a shot, right? I'm pinned versus the Protoss. Funnily enough, battle cruisers, they can work versus late game Protoss if the Protoss doesn't know how to deal with it. Disruptor Nova's going out constantly. I mean, FanTaSy, he's given it his all. Like, Trap hasn't been able to get a lot done in the past couple of minutes.
Another nuke coming on in. Trap knows where it is retreating appropriately. Small group of FanTaSy's units trying to come down here, but they're getting caught out. They're all dead. The only question is how many units can they kill before they die? The answer is a couple stalkers do get cleaned up there. That's a lot of dead bio. The trades are just, that's what Trap does. He plays this with the trades. He has lost 4,000 fewer resources than FanTaSy has to this point. The Tempests are just getting off individual kills. It's not that Trap has won a huge major engagement. It's just that he's been able to make better trades in the engagements that he's been in.
Yeah, he's a late game Protoss having a good time right now. FanTaSy is trying to counter that with his battle cruisers, and the strength of the battle cruisers really comes from the repositioning, but Trap seems to have had enough, by the way. He's just walking into FanTaSy's base, not hitting a good storm. And look at this, the army of Trap suddenly isn't looking like a lot. The Vikings are actually picking off a ton of the Tempest. And well done by FanTaSy cleaning that up. Trap drops in supply.
The Viking count was big enough. The Tempests weren't doing anything.
Look at the mini-map. It's just a line of Protoss moving across the map.
And reinforcing at the front here, too, with a slow warp in. Doesn't bother building a gateway up at the front. Just go ahead and get that 16-second warp in, no big deal.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so he's going Stalker, and the Stalkers are going to trade so well versus the Vikings. So sure, the BCs are going to be a problem.
The recall was already used by Trap, as a matter of fact. So.
It was, but Trap's just going for it. He's like, I don't care what those BCs are doing. Let's head on in and kill what we can kill. There's enough Stalkers here where the Vikings are like, I don't think we want to...
I mean, the Vikings do pick off all the Tempest. Trap was like, okay, you made all the Vikings. I'll make some Stalkers to counter that. He's still got the Disruptors. He's got DTs for days in FanTaSy's base. The battle cruisers are continuing to counterattack. Maybe they should come home to try and defend. I don't know. The Vikings, there's nothing in the air for them to really shoot at this point, so maybe they do need to land. They're not terrible versus Stalkers. The Disruptors, though, on the other hand, a nuke being called on in for FanTaSy. That is a bit of a Hail Mary. Trap's very clumped up, though. I'm starting to get concerned here. Oh my god. No. No, 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 no. Oh my god, the nuke lands. Oh.
The desperation defensive nuke actually hits. Army supply for
the
Trap
madman,
is down
he
to
did it.
30.
He just destroyed Trap's entire army with the nuke. Oh my god, Trap.
What was
Not
that?
paying attention, just got rocked there by that nuke. Trap typing in chat. And he's down in supply. His bank is gone.
He's not dead, but oh my gosh.
God. Trap just got destroyed. Oh my... Jesus.
All right.
I mean, don't know what to say.
Trap fighting.
Yeah, no one's dead yet, but
Just watching chat's reaction.
I know. Like, do we have to commentate the rest of this game, because that was just it. That was the
But we're not done. Trap's alive somehow.
Yeah.
He's killing SCVs. He's killing stuff. He has a decent army running around, just wiping out FanTaSy bases.
God.
He doesn't have any red on his side of the map. Are these Stalkers going to take down that planetary fortress? Without Immortal support, it's really hard to do. Oh, there are the Immortals. Okay. Never mind. That PF is done. The storm on the SCV is to make sure they don't get out of there alive. And he's pulling back in. Sure, he lost a ton of his army to that nuke, but he is not dead yet.
Vikings for days. Just realize that their purpose has been done. By the way, Trap making 6 probes at a time. Chrono boosting some of them out. FanTaSy, though, he's coming in with his Vikings. And he's going to... Vikings do surprisingly well versus Protoss buildings. A recall goes down from Trap. The Vikings, they choose to get out of there. I think they should have stayed landed. They could have shredded those Stalkers, I want to say.
Let's look at the upgrades real quick. You want to check the upgrades?
They're definitely in the favor of Trap.
So it's 3-3-3 for Trap, and air upgrades are 0, no attack, and 1 armor. Stalkers are fine.
The battle cruisers, on the other hand, though, for FanTaSy are still doing work, and there's 6 PCs, 19 Stalkers on the map. That's pretty decent for the battle cruiser player.
It is, but again, the upgrades come into play again. 3-3-3 Stalkers are some of the best anti-air you can get in the game, but you're right. I don't know if they want to engage with this.
Yeah, BCs do scale better than Stalkers. FanTaSy, as long as he micros them well, might be able to make something happen. A blink goes down. Gotta teleport that BC out, but he doesn't. FanTaSy not using that. You gotta keep your battle cruisers alive. Those are not cheap units. That being said, though,
absolutely not.
He is pulling Trap back. Picking off a gateway. That nuke, oh my god. Like...
Someone's got to put that on Reddit. Can we clip on Afreeca?
Well, we can definitely make a highlight of that later, that's for sure.
We will. We'll do it later for sure.
Okay, Bio moving down for FanTaSy. Meanwhile, Trap, a Templar, and his Zealot buddies are actually going to be pursuing this, so that's a nice find for him. Trap moving across the map with all of his Stalkers, but he really can't because there's battle cruisers hanging out. And the Vikings are still just flying there. They're going to scan, see that Trap only has 2 Stalkers here. Those Stalkers are now in a lot of trouble, and Vikings kill probes very quickly, so they're going to start shredding them up. Couple of Zealots working on in the Stalkers, going to be engaging the Zealots, will help them clean this up though. The BCs though, they move on in, and Trap is taking this to a base trade.
He is, but he has, I don't know, I think he's got this thing. I think Trap, despite the nuke, just took down that base. FanTaSy's income is abysmal right now.
Yeah, you are right about that. He's got a few orbitals still, but he's losing all of his bases really here. It's a bit of a wonky base trade, but Trap, yeah, he was just allowed to recover after that. Like, he was down on supply a lot, but he probed up, and now, as a result, he's got this scary army. However, if we do look at the unit count, it's 8 BCs versus 34 Stalkers. There's some Liberators and Bio in the mix, though, for FanTaSy, and he does have another nuke.
Well, that base is down, too. I mean, FanTaSy's income at this stage of the game is just... It's nothing, man. It's 0. It is literally 0 minerals right now that he's getting per minute. And sure, the BCs, it's just that they're slow is the problem. Good Yamatos, do catch a couple of the Stalkers there, but nothing too game-endy or anything like that. Once again, cleaned up the stuff on his side of the map. Trap is happily mining with his 27 workers, and FanTaSy is stuck on his main base. That's it.
That is
unless he can push out and do something now.
There's not a single SCV in FanTaSy's supply blocked. So this is actually what he has. He needs to make something happen. He's keeping his injured battle cruiser back at home for now, but like he needs to just engage this army and get Trap out of this game, or it's over. 10 BCs, 34 Stalkers. The BCs, they're only down 1 upgrade. He's got to go for it. Like, time ain't on your side, FanTaSy. Okay, he's gonna have his vehicle plating. Maybe that's what he's waiting for. You just gotta, I don't know, send out a Marine, identify where the Stalkers are, blink on top, and pray. Yeah, Trap's got such a bank, though. Probing up once again. It is just a slow death for FanTaSy at this point.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to be cost efficient, is the thing here. He can go ahead and totally make bad trades, and he's fine, because he can still make stuff.
Yeah, FanTaSy, he teleports out. Okay, he's just blinking on in here. Now, this isn't actually all the Stalkers for Trap. I think FanTaSy's just got to suck it up and engage here. He's trying to retreat. He's trying to do this fancy micro, but you got to win this game now or never. You got to get these extra BCs in here. Take a fight. Kill this half of the Stalkers.
Fighting over the shield batteries, too. It's just brutal. He does manage to depower them.
Okay.
Storm's coming up. Not doing a whole lot of work here, but all of these BCs are dead. They're not making...
The remaining BCs for FanTaSy, they can't do it. Like, he maybe could have taken a fight there. It would have been tough to say. Probably not. But Trap has an income. And that's pretty much that.
Yeah, I mean, FanTaSy's dragging this thing out. He's killing a bunch of probes, which is nice. But it's still... Trap has infinitely more probes than you do. SCVs, man.
Okay, these battle cruisers are engaging. See, this is going well for FanTaSy, but there's still so many more Stalkers.
Right, and that's it. He can continue to make stuff. Tempests are in production here, too. FanTaSy... It's time to GG out, man. This is cute. I really appreciate you wanting to try to win this thing, but you are not doing anything to expand. Your production tab is empty. And I'm gonna jump out there.
He's trying, but
he is.
His situation is worse than it was before, and it's not getting any better. GG, there we go.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
All right. I gotta step away for just 2 minutes here in between the next game, but I will join your lobby and get back as soon as I can.
That is absolutely fine. So the third map is going to be Port Aleksander, and regardless of whether Trap 3-0s it, that nuke. Oh, that was a doozy. That was probably the most insane nuke I've ever seen in a tournament.
In a professional level tournament, absolutely. That was so many Stalkers and Immortal Sentries. Just, ugh. Gross, gross, gross stuff there for the Protoss. But he won anyway, so it was cool. Okay, be right back.
Okie dokie. We will get everyone on into the next game, guys. What a crazy game. What a crazy game. Can FanTaSy bring it back? I don't know, it's tough to say. I mean, if you manage to kill your entire opponent's army with a nuke and then you still don't win the game, it's rough. It's very rough. And now he's got a 3-0 trap. So we are loading on into the next game. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning on in. Make sure to let your friends know that we're heading towards the end of the round of 4 here. 3 more possible games. And then we've got the finals, which is going to be a best of 7. So make sure to let your friends know. Here we are. It's a best of 5. He's got himself the 2-0 lead and is spawning down in the bottom right-hand side of the map. It's Jinner Greenwing's trap. And up in the top left-hand side of the map, we've got player 1's FanTaSy. The games have just been so good in this tournament so far. Here we see the probe moving out across the map. Once again, a scout for Trap. He's been playing pretty darn well. I think we can say that it's pretty close to, I mean, you can't use the term flawless in StarCraft 2, but he's making very few mistakes. Besides letting his entire army get nuked, that was his one mistake, and it was a doozy. Make no mistake, but Trap did. He got his entire army nuked. And he still won the game. I guess that's what playing pretty darn well throughout the entire game does. It allows you to have that, it allows you to have that sort of grace, that leeway, to let your entire army get nuked. And that just shows how far ahead Trap was in the first place. I'd like to resume from replay. If we could. Like, if we could just have the players be like, let's resume from replay that position, because FanTaSy was up like 50 supply, and Trap just had a fantastic comeback. And I feel like the harassment for FanTaSy just wasn't there or something, or like he had his bases killed off, but then he didn't do enough to his opponent, right? Like he just sat back, Trap made 5 or 6 probes at a time, got his economy going well enough. Adept coming on in, this SCV, he's got to accept his fate. Oh, FanTaSy tries to sneak the Reaper in, but it ran by the wall, so he is known to be in there. And this Reaper's days could actually be numbered as that Stalker's about to pop out. FanTaSy decides to retreat with it. Not just going to sack it into that main base. So keeping that unit alive. All the while Trap sending his probe back. Is that probe going to run on in or something? And what does FanTaSy do in this game? Because right now it's looking like we're going to be having 2 Jin Air Boys as our finalists. Reaper is working away on the shield battery, already being a bit of a pain. It's actually a complete wall for Trap, as he's looking to put on some pressure on the low ground of his opponent. There is 1 Widow Mine out for FanTaSy. He's going to try and reposition that at the top of his ramp. I don't think it can get focused down in time, so that is going to allow FanTaSy to secure his high ground. Meanwhile, the Reaper that was working on that shield battery being a pain, the shield battery gets cancelled. For now, though, just Trap denying FanTaSy is natural. SCV pops out. That's going to get focused down, most likely. And now we see FanTaSy is coming down. He's going to be running out with all of his Widow Mines. Might be able to catch the Adept here. That would be very nice. Burrowing his mines. The Probe runs in for Trap. A very ambitious bait. But the Adept, slippery, can't actually escape. Oh, he's actually going to try and bait out the mine. Not quite close enough. One of the hardest timings in the game to do there, in order to dodge a Widow Mine with an Adept. Trap's going to give it another go, though. He wants to keep this light aggression going. There we go. He does it. It's like FanTaSy. Oh, he wants to try and push this out, but with the Prism in here, there could potentially be Warpins now. There's actually no Warpins ready. So Trap decides to transform that. There we go. Now more Stalkers being warped in. He's going to keep this going. Widowmine's going overhead, or just going on out, but that's going to leave Trap or FanTaSy incredibly vulnerable to a counterattack. There's no blink. This is very early Stalker aggression, but with a Warp Prism, that's all that Trap needs to get these units into the main of FanTaSy. The Marines try and focus down the Prism, but that's just leaving them vulnerable to being attacked. The tank's about to come on out. A Viking's about to pop on out. SCV's got to be pulled yesterday in order to defend this. There's already been so much loss. It looks like the Prism almost goes down, but it doesn't, so that is fantastic for Trap. He can get these Stalkers out if he so chooses. SCVs are getting picked off. So much damage is being done. Widowmine drop. Going in for FanTaSy. Might be able to get some counter damage done. Drop a mine in the mineral line. Trap is really committed to this. This could be the counter damage that FanTaSy needs. Assuming he doesn't just die here, he gets the Prism, but he doesn't have a lot else going for him. Kills off 6 probes. Siege tank is out. These Stalkers might eventually be able to be cleaned up. FanTaSy's taking a lot of damage. He's got to get some more Widowmine shots off or something. Keep in mind, Trap is fairly committed to this attack. He threw up a Twilight, he threw up a Forge, but never got anything else. He just kept going with this. It will eventually be shut down. FanTaSy's taken a lot of damage, though. And this Widowmine drop, it's got to get something done. Trap is waiting for it. Mines need to burrow yesterday, but they don't. Don't unload. 20 SCVs have gone down. FanTaSy now heading towards the natural. He's got to get something done, but felt he could have gone in with this a little bit sooner. Now, best case scenario is going to get 1 or 2 probes, gets a Stalker, gets a probe. Oh, does he save the mines? Actually, very sick save. I feel like if you are FanTaSy right now, you drop one of the mines at the third base of the Protoss, or the potential third base location, to deny that. And did he see the Dark Shrine? That is the question. He did not. And Trap is pretty confident that he didn't. He's just going to be continuing on with this FanTaSy. He's got a third base on the way, but nothing else that's going to help him deal with this. A Tech Lab is on the way for the Starport. Could potentially be for a Raven. But those DTs, they're going to be able to be warped in by this Prism. That Prism gets spotted. It's going to be 3 Adepts before the DTs. And here they go. That's enough to one-shot SCVs. Shade goes down. Recall goes for Trap as he was busy warping in a DT with the Prism. Oh, that Prism, it could actually go down. That would be a massive mistake for Trap. Oh, it stays alive. That Prism's so quick, and he actually saves it. A scan gets baited out, and eBay gets started for FanTaSy. A Raven is already on the way. Oh, the DT goes down, so actually a bit of a mistake from Trap, but FanTaSy, I guess just realizing that it's over. Was there a DT in the natural or something?
Oh no, I missed the whole thing.
You missed the whole thing. FanTaSy just got knocked out. They had 2 DTs run into the natural, and that was that.
Ah.
Okay.
Not Zealots this time, but DTs.